Undersecretary General, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Can you summarize some of the potential risks and the benefits of artificial intelligence? And what would you say which principles guide your office when it comes to the governance of this ever-changing technology?
With any powerful technology, there come benefits and there come risks. And the benefits are around leapfrogging some of the current constraints that we have in economic terms, in societal terms. So speeding up economic productivity, smart manufacturing, accelerating the green transition, moving from the current paradigm of fossil fuel dependency in industry to a more environment-friendly paradigm. There is also the risk side. This is trained on data. So that means the biases in our existing data sets, cultural, linguistic, gender, otherwise they creep into AI decisions, AI predictions. So that's one that may end up excluding some people from some of these benefits, or other ways undermining respect for human rights. There are also risks related to the immense concentration of power that comes from AI, economic power, tech power. So a lot of people will become perhaps very rich and others may lose their jobs or may struggle with finding productive work. So between the opportunities and the risks, we have to find a wise path where opportunities are maximized for the maximum number of people and the risks are minimized and not loaded on to a small segment of the world's population.
It seems we are seeing some impacts, some headlines from business media sites talking about mass layoffs with various global companies because of artificial intelligence. We're hearing about recent college graduates who aren't able to find entry-level jobs because some of those jobs are now being taken by AI. Can you talk about globally the inequality? Because, we see these in big countries, but the vast inequality when it comes to artificial intelligence and who's benefiting?
Right. So there is an immense concentration of AI hardware, the chips that are used to train AI models and data centers in a few geographies, essentially the United States and China and some parts of Europe. Likewise, the economic opportunity, the economic benefits are also concentrated in those regions. All of Africa has less than 1% of the world's data center capacity. Then there's also talent and data sets and the opportunity in the digital economy to deploy AI solutions. So we have some existing divides. 700 million people don't have access to energy. 2.7 billion people are still not connected to the internet. So the AI divide coming on top of those divides is likely to increase inequality. So this is a major concern for us at the United Nations. That's why we want to focus on building AI capacity rapidly around the world so that people everywhere can benefit from this. And that's why we are focusing on its global governance so that the risks that are coming from it, and you mentioned the shifting job landscape, so it's inevitable that jobs will be impacted. Any job that requires repetitive work, any job that requires rote learning, that is going to be impacted by AI. That, of course, will create opportunities at the higher end, but at the entry level, jobs may be impacted. I don't know, in the longer run, it may play out quite nicely, but we need to ensure that those who are getting impacted in the short run, they have the opportunities for reskilling, retraining, alternatives when their jobs are threatened by AI.
Is there one or two areas that you think are vitally important that everyone must agree on or can agree on? Is there one or two things?
I think we are putting the emphasis on three pillars: science, policy, and capacity. So the world must come together on these regular scientific assessments of the technology's direction, its impact, both in terms of opportunities and risks. So we have a collective shared understanding, and policy making can happen in the light of evidence and not based on speculation or hype. The second aspect is policy. So this global governance of AI dialogue, where we can learn from each other, where we can base our governance decisions in our shared norms at the United Nations. And third, of course, capacity, because the benefits are there, potentially huge, and each and every community, each and every country must have a minimum national capacity to be able to use AI, deploy AI, and use it in its own context to address its own challenges.
We know that only 35% of the Sustainable Development Goals are on track or showing progress. We're now less than 5 years away to 2030. Why should the public trust the UN when it comes to representing their interest in the governance of artificial intelligence?
I think because UN is the only inclusive platform globally where each and every country can be represented. And UN doesn't have its own X to grind, so it's a neutral platform, and it has the credibility and it has those norms that have been built over decades. Human rights, and you mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals, the Sustainable Development Agenda. Of course, there have been setbacks like, the COVID crisis, the debt crisis, which has not allowed progress to move as fast, but these are shared understandings that are already there. If we move away from the UN, then we have to redo these shared understandings. We have to again try and bring everyone onto the same platform. That platform is already there, and we need to obviously improve and reform this platform. That's why the Secretary General has embarked on the UN 80 initiative to ensure that the UN is fit for purpose for the future. And that's why we had these outcomes at the Summit of the Future and the Global Digital Compact and these decisions on governing artificial intelligence for humanity. So I believe that working through the UN, we can ensure that AI serves all of humanity, that humanity's interests are safeguarded, and that we do not lose ourselves in a kind of a race to the bottom in terms of safeguards and governance, and we do not become destructively competition oriented, and we keep on collaborating on the benefits and the management of the risks.
Undersecretary General Amandeep Singh Gill, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.